I'm Jane and you're watching The Daily Grind on Triple J. Today we are giving the lowdown on the Finkelstein Report and how it is affecting the local film industry. The Finkelstein Report is an independent inquiry into media regulation, which has suggested that the statutory watchdog should be given the power to set journalistic standards of all news organizations. This is in order to publish apologies, corrections, and/or retractions. Now we move on to regulations that are currently in place. With us, we have Matt discussing just exactly how the film industry is regulated and what falls under its scope.
The film industry is subject to regulations that are strict by world standards, allowing a significant amount of free speech, yet are governed by a non-publicly elected office which is responsible for classifying all films, television shows and games that are released in the country. This body is called the Classifications Board, and they are intended to be an independent body that regulates the media industry under principles defined in the National Classification Code, a piece of law that has been agreed upon by the governments of each and every state and territory in Australia. The body also consists of the Classifications Review Board, which is a separate independent organisation which is designed to review the original decisions and has the authority to make a new decision on it. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, also has jurisdiction over parts of the film and broadcast industries, with the authority to license broadcasting. The government also imposes various content provisions on the film industry, requiring stations to provide a certain amount of locally produced content in their programming. These came about with the introduction of the 2005 United States and Australia Free Trade Agreements, and it requires free-to-air broadcasters such as Channel 7, 9 and 10 to provide at least 55% local content between the hours of 6 AM and midnight daily. There are several limitations that the ACMA places on commercial networks in terms of what they are free to show, in terms of content of certain ratings, which are not shared by their non-commercial networks such as ABC and SBS, which are self-regulated. Pay TV networks such as Foxtel are also not bound by these restrictions. This is designed to stimulate the local economy, however it is an undemocratic process, and the production of such material can cost the private film industries significantly, whilst not necessarily enhancing the quality of content available to the public. The Finkelstein Review proposes even stricter regulations on the film and media production industries. The production of journalistic and documentary content in particular would be affected by this review, with the proposed addition of the News Media Council adding unnecessary difficulty to the production process, and slowing down the delivery of quality news to all Australians by adding bureaucratic barriers. Whilst this body is intended to be independent, they are elected and therefore cannot be said to truly represent the people. This is no different from state censorship, as no individual has the right to decide for others what quality content is. As you can see, the film industry is heavily regulated by state as it is, and changes imposed by the Finkelstein Review could be damaging and crippling to an already struggling film industry.
Self-regulation is generally characterised by industry-formulated rules and codes of conduct, with industry solely responsible for their enforcement. As previously mentioned by Matt, self-regulation is primarily implemented by non-commercial television stations like the ABC and SBS, as well as subscription television. The Australian Communications and Media Authority, or ACMA, also lists one of its responsibilities as promoting self-regulation and competition in the communications industry while protecting consumers and other users. With the Finkelstein's inquiry, self-regulation will become a thing of the past, and the government would take a leading role in the regulation of the broadcast industry. Quite rightly, the concern of multiple media outlets has been voiced over the past months, with phrases like the freedom of speech and freedom of the press being at the crux of the arguments. How can we allow the government to be so deeply entrenched in what information is distributed by the media? I will not deny that there are flaws in the self-regulation model, and that breaches can and have been made, but I believe that this is one of those situations where the good far outweighs the bad. The ABC is the epitome of self-regulation actually working in practice. According to an article by Crikey, surveys show that 67% of respondents trust ABC Current Affairs, compared with 33% for commercial radio talkback and 52% for local newspapers. We all know the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I will say that the ABC, along with the SBS, are the reasons why Australia should not move towards something like the News Media Council. And commercial broadcasters should take a leaf out of their books and implement a higher standard of self-regulation.
So the film industry is already heavily regulated. Do we really need it to be changed? Here at the Daily Grind, we think that the film industry is fine as it is, and their current bodies protect individuals and ensure democracy within our society. This new regulation will have watch over our freedom of speech and freedom of our press. It may seem over the top, but could this possibly lead to anarchy within our media outlets? If you're watching like you say you do, our dear government, please, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.